Folk TNT price, this one. But the version that we actually have is this one, but it's just different versions. Okay, so the Lorwyn one. They're basically the same price. So, add to cart. Okay, so my subtotal was basically 10 tickets with the charity. So we were almost spot on the money. Thank you so much. We had a gentleman earlier donate $10 so we could get the Murmuring Boss and the Wilt Leafs. That's the only thing holding us back. We'll do an automated. We will do the... Wait, it should already be there. No, it is going to be 10 tickets. Perfect. But I do like donating to the gamers, helping gamers anytime I put in a purchase. You can donate more, too. It's not hard. You can just keep plussing it. I at least always donate one. And I do a lot of purchases through Card Hoarder, so it adds up. Like, you can do two. Anyway. Yes. And I think this is when it does my personal stuff, when I bring it over here. I think when I hit place order, it's going to ask for something. But yeah, I even stuck in a Revelark. There's actually still some really expensive cards in this, but I saved on the mana base by going with birds and forests instead. 2 Gavany Township, playset of Sandstep Citadel, playset of Murmuring Boss that we were missing. The second Wiltleaf Leash, I think is important. We've got a lot of green-white threats. Militant, Steward, Dauntless. These are white creatures. This is a white creature. So at least they're receiving half of the Anthem effect. I was going to go with Lingering Souls, but it was too many tickets. And then the finishers are Revelark and Reach. And of course, it's got a playset of Chord that we're borrowing from our friend. Alright. This is exciting. I love building new decks with you guys. I know we normally do new decks at all to Active Trade Binder. I know we do normally do new brews on Tuesday. I have a new brew in the queue for you guys. Thank you so much, Bake Not Fried. Bake Not Fried, I don't know when the tournament is. Will you need these back anytime soon? Because I may need to do another donation goal. We don't own these. This is borrowed. Let me know. Let me know ahead of time, Bake Not Fried, because I know these aren't ours. These are definitely yours, friend. Thanks for letting us borrow them. If you're running Necrotic Sliver, there's a green-white sliver that does the Rex Sage thing. What's the name of that one again? That's a good idea. Maybe we can, instead of running the Pride Mage, run the Sliver. This one, right? Harmonic? How much is Harmonic, though? This one's nice because it's an ETB, which might be stronger than the Pride Mage. That's true. That might be better in the board than the second Pride Mage. Good call. Yeah, I forgot about Harmonic Sliver. Thank you. Well, Ironbiter Knight, if you're going to be that upset about it, I'm not sure. I really can't show the article. I can explain in words my process for brewing, I suppose, but I don't know if I'm supposed to disclose it, is what I was trying to tell you, Knight, because I'm writing articles about it, and I'm not sure if Nathaniel's going to let people see those articles for free. For example, those articles are through the Patreon program, through my stream. It's one of the ways that we have tickets to brew decks is the Patreon. Let me link it one more time, Biter. If you want to know more about my brewing process and want to learn how to brew like I do recommend looking at the Patreon. It's fine, more of a joke. Oh, okay, you didn't put any kappa on it, so I thought you were legitimately upset. Throw some more kappa on that, friend. I thought you were legitimately upset with me. I wasn't trying to dodge your question, but I don't know. I literally just wrote an article about brewing decks for Card Hoarder and submitted it this weekend. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it, so. What I can tell you is it's a 4-step process. I broke it down into a 4-step process, and I can tell you the name of the article. The name of the article I called The Scientific Brewing Process. I can do that much. Patreon viewers, you will remember that I wrote a similar article a long time ago. Nathaniel wanted me to do a reboot, and I rewrote it. He's going to have editors make it look nice. And it's going to be really great. It's going to be on the Card Hoarder. I'm going to see if he'll release it for free. That'd be really cool. The problem with Coco is the price. Toolmaster says my Twitch is very confused. I'm not sure if I'm online or not. I am. Alright, so let's trade. So this will be the rest of the Tesa deck. This is the 100 ticket version. Say go. Let's do this. Does anybody else have a deck? I know there was Galaxy you wanted to play us. Now, if it's a human, don't hit the reject button. Say something. Be like, thank you so much for hand delivering this, you know, yada yada. BrewSpy channel sent me, yada yada. If you want to say that. Nathan always likes hearing that. We are still running the Superior. A lot of the budget went. Let me show you where the budget went. So the budget went into Bosks, Wiltleafs, Chords, Revelark. Not these. These are basically free. Like, a lot of the things I had to look into very cheap budget alternatives, but some things I couldn't replace. The things I couldn't replace was the one of Superior, the one of Painter, the one of, these are all cheap except for Birds. These are 2 tickets a pop. Get it? Bop, pop. Never mind. Other than that, this is all inexpensive. This here, even the Mirror Entity, oh, I'm sorry, this is an exception. Actually, Necrotic Sliver, not very expensive. Should be fine. The format gives us a catch-all. Should just allow us to destroy any permanent. If we have the Mirror Entity, we can destroy 2 permanents if we need to. And then out of the board, we can add another Sliver if we need to destroy even more permanents. But ideally, you're bringing this in when it's specifically artifacts or enchantments you're trying to destroy. This is a catch-all. It's just destroy target permanent. Anyway, it's Vindicate on a Sliver. How cool is that? So this is where most of the main deck budget went. This is all essentially like a millionth of a ticket. I mean, like maybe not a millionth, but like 100th of a ticket. Super, super, super cheap, basically. Except for Pride Mage. He's an exception to that rule. Excuse me. These actually aren't much. Tidehall is not much. I think Forge Tender is worth noting. Like, the most expensive... Like, there's kind of like a midpoint here. These are the super, super cheap stuff. You can imagine the basics are very cheap as well. So this stuff's super, super cheap. This is all the super, super cheap stuff. This is the slightly more expensive, but still really cheap stuff, which is going to be your Pride Mage, your Burringtons. And then you get into the more expensive stuff. The $2 to $1 stuff is all here. This is the most expensive stuff is here. This is like $1 to $2 stuff. This is the super expensive stuff. That's your Tesas. Actually, I would say Revelark is actually more in that pile. This is basically just $2 a pop. So it's kind of like that. That's how I spent the budget on the deck. And then the sideboard, the most expensive stuff by far is the Rest in Peace. Quickly followed by, excuse me, Linval is the most expensive sideboard piece. And I'm not sure we need her. Actually, I'm running 2 Necrotic Slivers. I actually really wanted the Vindicate, I guess. Oh, Pontiff, yeah. Pontiff's expensive, thank you. No, Pontiff is more expensive than this pile. Pontiff's about 9 tickets, actually, right now. Yeah, so these 7 are where most of the main deck budget went. Most of the sideboard budget went to Linvala and Rest in Peace. And maybe Stonies. We're not really doing anything with artifacts, so I thought the Stony was nice. Rest in Peace just a one-of because we are doing some graveyard stuff. Namely, the E-Witness and the Revelark. Pride Mage is like 30 cents. It's not bad. It's not 0, but it's not bad. These cards aren't necessarily 0, but they're not bad. Burrington really should be in the sideboard, though, and maybe we should main deck another Sculler. We did just face off against a combo deck. We might want more Scullers in general. The Harmonic, the Necrotic the extra Necrotic might be just unnecessary, and then we can run a sideboard of another Tide Hollow. So we can have access to 3 Scullers. Sculler works very well with Tesa since it's white and black, naturally. So we should maybe get another Sculler. Just use this one for now. Main deck a Sliver? I am. I'm main decking technically 2 Slivers. Changeling, Mirror Entity is a Sliver. And Necrotic Sliver is a Sliver. Okay, so who are we going against? Love to see somebody run a Defender Tribal. That'd be sweet. This is Tree Folk, though. If you guys are sitting there, well, where's the Tree Folk? I'll show you. The Tree Folk engine is this. So I was looking around for lands, and I was like, what's a good land we can use? And I was like, Murmuring Bosk is way too bad unless you're running some number of Tree Folk. I'm still balancing the amount of Tree Folk. The original build was 4 Lignify. But basically, these are all Tree Folk spells. So we don't actually have to run Tree Folk creatures. I looked into the creatures first. They were all very bad, and I was like, well, I don't have a budget for Path anyway. Let's try something like Lignify. Lignify's fine. And then the Reach of Branches is also a Tree Folk spell. So basically, these Tree Folk spells turn on the Bosk. Bosk enters the battlefield. You may reveal a Tree Folk from your hand if you don't enters tapped. I wanted this to be able to turn one cast Birds and Pilgrims and Militants. So Even just having a few Tree Folk spells so far in testing has allowed me to have the Bosks come into play untapped, which is huge. The only tap land then technically we're running is just the Stand Steps. A lot of you probably wanted me to do this with the deck. Doran. Doran's one of the only playable Tree Folk. The problem with Doran is his price tag. But Doran is an option that would give us, if we can get more into the budget somehow, like maybe you cut the Rest in Peace, you could run a Singleton Doran in place of maybe the third Lignify or the Reach of Branches. I'm not sure how powerful it'll be in the format. Reach, of course, will be great against maybe something more controlling or mid-rangey. Just give us some inevitability, just as many 2/5s as we can cast. For every forest that you draw, you get to redraw it. I would love to build around the Doran. The problem with Doran is his casting cost, of course. He is very specific on his colors. But, I mean, how much would the deck benefit from Doran? Well, the birds would deal damage. The Painter would be dealing 3 damage. The Superior would deal 6. The Fiend Hunter would deal 3. What else would benefit from... Revlock would actually go down in benefit, and Militant would go down in... yeah, Ghoul Tree. Nice tech. Yeah, Teysa and the Tree Folk. I think it'll be interesting. Like, basically, I kind of more or less cheated our way into more efficient duels. This is actually a tri-land. I basically, by running some number of Tree Folk, we could probably consider adding more Tree Folk. This would be the last tree card I'd consider adding as a Doran. Just because he's a solid 5-drop for 3. If the deck could support another piece, it would be Doran, but he's about 6 tickets because people like to build around this guy. So this would be a huge investment for the deck. We'd have to cut the Rest in Peace and a couple other things before we can run a Doran, but it's a consideration. But these are like the super cheap Tree Folk decks that I thought might actually have some use. We could Lignify a big creature that the opponent has. We can Reach of Branches for inevitability. Gavany Township also gives us inevitability, so the deck curves like so. In my opinion, it curves like this. Except we messed up somewhere. Where did I mess up? Oh, you know what? I messed up the curvature, didn't I? Because I put the Burrington in the sideboard. Actually, don't like that. And I tried to main deck the... What? I tried to main deck something that we didn't need to main deck. I think it was a Sliver. Oh, no, it was Pride Mage. There's something here we don't need in the main. Oh, it was the second Sculler. It was the second Tide Hollow. Run Nameless Inversion plus Hakan. You could do that. That was another thing I thought about. The problem is Hakan is expensive. No, I haven't Power Fill. I think it's H-A-A-K-A-N. Price. I can't even spell price. Okay, so he's about 3 tickets for a Singleton Hakan. It's with an O. Hakan. Hakan is a really nice engine the deck could have too. Like cards we should talk about are Hakan and Doran. And if you're running Doran, if you're running Hakan, you're going to cut the Lignifies and run the other card for sure. That's another way we could brew this. The hard part would be budgeting the whole thing. And actually pulling off the black mana consistently. I just don't think we'd ever get to black, ever, is the problem with Hakan. Anyway, these are cards I want to talk about, though, with you guys. Like, I know that we're going to try to... There are ways we could try to make it more expensive, but we have to stay within the 100-ticket challenge. Scavenging Ooze was too much. It was in the first build. Hang on, do you guys want to see the expensive version first to see where I came from to switch it over to this? Actually, Hakan could be in the expensive version. I was maybe thinking 1 to 2 Scavenging Ooze instead of Rest in Peace. Heartless Eldrazi. Clicky clicky, thanks for the followerino. So let me show you, team. Let me show you where I came from. So Teysa and tokens. So this is actually what the deck looked more like. We're borrowing a lot of these components. The Noble Hierarchs, the expensive mana base, this Cards and Canopies, for example, these are all borrowed. But, yes. So how does this deck curve? In my opinion, Gavany's actually up here. These are 4s. or less. It depends on the board state. So the expensive version looks more like this. I was actually going to test the stewards in this even. And then we're going to have to cut a sideboard card somewhere. I think it was